All right, say hi. Hi. All right, 1, 2, 3. What are we getting better at by the end of today's lesson? Oh my gosh, I've got this table's hands. What are we getting better at by the end of today's lesson? Megan.
What challenge did Brian face in this chapter? How did he respond differently than earlier in the story? Why does the chapter
Change.
matter to the story?
Beautiful. So we're going to be thinking about Brian's character today. Got it?
Got it.
Put your finger on the top where it says in chapter 17. Michaela, read that to us.
In chapter 17, Brian tried to get the airplane to bottom path. What would you want more than in case of Brian? What would you need more than
Hand up with the person that you're going to share with. Tyson, I'm going to come share with you. Hand up with the person that you're going to share with, or just so you can come sit with. Come sit with me. Hand up with the person that you're going to share with. Tell that person, what would you want more than anything in the survival pack? If you are my window and board partner, you're sharing first. Say, I'm talking.
I'm talking.
Opposite partner, say, I'm listening.
I'm listening.
Ready? You're talking, talk. Twice. Cheers to tops. What did your partner say they wanted to bring? Nasir, what did your partner say they wanted to bring? Tracking Nasir. L'Ariel, I'm tracking, or is it check? Choose. Nasir, what did you or your partner say they wanted to bring in the survival path? What? The backpack? Okay. What did you say? Alan, you or your partner? Tracking like Daniela? Like Megan?
I said, will you need clothes?
Ooh, clothing. Caleb, what'd you say?
My partner said you will want a med kit.
What is that?
Right there. No, a med kit was like the
Oh, a med kit, a medicine kit? Ooh, great. I love that. That would have said Brian several times by now, right?
Yeah.
Excellent idea, Kaylin. What did you say? Tice?
I said I need an axe, medicine, jacket, backpack.
Yeah, excellent. I also heard him say tent when I was over there talking, because that would have saved Brian a lot too, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Think about those things, because today, Brian's going to be making a choice that's going to try to get him closer to that survival pack. Got it?
Got it.
All right. Wait. Let's see if we got it. Whenever we read, pay attention to that. What is our first read purpose today? What's our first read purpose today? Joshua. Ooh, I love that. Energy. Come on.
First thing purpose is pay attention to Brian's environment and what he is learning through it.
Beautiful. All right. Let's see. Stop. We're all going to start at the same time. Put it back. When I say go, we're going to see which team. She's trying to be even. That's why she said yes. Let's try to see. Oh, there's 7 for that. We're going to see which team can get there the fastest and the most silently to their text. Go. Oh, most silently. I love that silent reminder, Alan. I love that thumbs up. Let's see. Oh. Send me some energy, so I gotta pull up the audible.
152.
Let's see which table's got it first. Oh, I got one. I love that helping, Miss Ani. That was so sweet. Pat yourself on the back. Ooh, we're all winners. We all just did that. So proud. All right. Send me some energy because, like I said, I got to pull up the album. All right.
He turned back to his campsite.
We're tracking. Just like Iman.
Rebuild his shelter, get a new fire going, find some food, or get ready to find some food. Make weapons, and he had to work slowly because his ribs hurt. First things first. He tried to find some dry grass and twigs, then peeled the bark from a nearby birch to shred into a fire desk. He worked slowly, but even so, with his new skill, he had a fire going in less than an hour. The flames cut the cool, damp morning, crackled, and did much to bring his spirits up. The men should chase away incessant mosquitoes. With the fire going, he searched for dry wood. The rain had driven water into virtually all the wood he could find, and at last located some in a thick evergreen where the top branches had covered the lower dead ones, keeping them dry. He had great difficulty breaking it, not being able to pull much with his arm or chest muscles, but finally got enough to keep the fire going all day and into the night. With that, he rested a bit, eased his chest, and then set about getting a shelter squared away. Much of the wood from his original...
Why does Brian have to rebuild? What just came through? Tell me. Pick up your pencil and write down what is Brian doing right now. I'll know that you're done writing when your pencil's in the groove. Alan turning immediately. Rashad has put a bullet point so when he writes more things, we can keep track of it. What is he doing? Where is zero? Okay, Brian's rebuilding his what?
Shelter!
Because of the?
Tornado!
Beautiful. Pencils and grooves in 5. Ready to pick back up. Second paragraph on 151. 4, 3. Tyson, we're back to tracking. 2, 1. Make that decision.
Nearby, and up and back of the ridge, he actually found a major section of the leaves still intact. The wind had torn it out, lifted it, and thrown it to the top of the ridge. Brian felt lucky once more that he had not been killed or seriously injured, which would have been the same, he thought. If he couldn't hunt, he would die, and if he were injured badly, he would not be able to hunt. He jerked and dragged wood around until the wall was once more in place, proving that he could improve it later. He had no trouble finding enough pine boughs to make a new bed. The storm had torn the forest to pieces. Up and back of the ridge, it looked like a giant had become angry and used some kind of massive meat grinder on the trees. Huge pines were twisted and snapped off, blown sideways. The ground was so littered with limbs and treetops sticking every which way that it was hard to get through. He pulled enough thick limbs in for a bed, green and spicy with an unbroken sap smell. And by evening, he was exhausted, hungry,
100% turning.
he had something close to a place to live in, a place to be. Tomorrow, he thought, as he lay back in the darkness. Tomorrow, maybe the fish would be back and he would make a spear and a new bow and get some food. Tomorrow, he would find food and find the camp and bring things back to sanity from the one completely insane day. He faced the fire. Curving his body, he rested his head on his arm and began to sleep when a picture came into his head. The tail of the plane sticking out of the water. There it was, the tail sticking up. And inside the plane, near the tail, somewhere, was the survival pack. It must have survived the crash because the plane's main body was still intact. That was the picture, the tail sticking up and the survival pack inside, right there in his mind as he dozed. His eyes snapped open. If I could get at the pack, he thought. Oh, if I could get at the pack, it probably had food and knives and matches. It might have a sleeping bag. It might have fishing gear. Oh, it must have so many wonderful things. If I could get at the to pack and just get some of those things, I would be rich. So rich if I could get it to pack. Tomorrow. He watched the flames and smiled. Tomorrow I'll see. All things come tomorrow.
What does Brian realize in the tail of the plane? Pick up your pencil, write it. Clariel's writing immediately. Cody's writing immediately. I'll know that you're done with your pencils in the group and your fingers back on 152 at the bottom. Brian realizes that the survival pack's still there for Shop. Alright, pencils and grooves in 5. In 4, just like Kima and 3. Just like Clariel and 2. In 1. In 0.
Deep and down, with only the picture of the ponytail sticking up in his mind. A healing sleep.
Very top of 153. You're there, pat yourself on the back. Get up.
In the morning, he rolled out before true light. In the gray dawn, he built up the fire and found more wood for the day, feeling almost cheap.
153.
His spirits were much better now. With camp ready for the day, he looked to the lake. Part of him half expected the plane tail to be gone, sunk back into the depths, but he saw that it was still there, didn't seem to have moved at all. He looked down at his feet and saw that there were some fish in his fish tank looking for the tiny bits of bait still left from before the wind came. He fought impatience to get on the plane project and remembered what he had learned. First, food, because food made strength. First food, then thought, then action. There were fish at hand here, but he might not be able to get anything from the plane. That was all the dream. The fish were real, and his stomach, even his new shrunken stomach, was sending signals that it was savagely empty. He made a fish spear with 2 points, not peeling the bark all the way back, but just working on the pointed end. It took him an hour or so, but all the time he worked, he sat looking at the tail of the plane sticking up in the air, his hands working on the spear, his mind working on the problem of the plane. When the spear was done, although still crude, he jammed a wedge between the points to spread them apart and make the fish apart.
Very top of 154.
He picked one below.
You're picking right up. If you know, picking right up. 154. Second for me for now.
Held it, and thrust with a flicking motion of his wrist when the fish was just above the point. The fish was pinned neatly and took 2 more with the same ease, then carried all 3 back up to the fire. He had a fish board now, a piece of wood he had flattened with the hatchet that leaned up by the fire for cooking fish, so he didn't have to hold a stick all the time. He put the 3 fish on the board, pushed sharpened pegs through their tails into cracks on the cooking board, and propped it next to the reddest part of the coals. In moments, the fish were hissing and cooking with the heat, and as soon as they were done, or when he could stand the smell no longer, he picked the steamed meat from under the loosened skin and ate it. The fish did not fill him, did not even come close. Fish meat was too light for him, but they gave him strength. He could feel it moving into his arms and legs, and he began to work on the plane project. While making the spear, he had decided that what he would have to do was make a raft and push paddle the raft to the plane and tie it there for a working base. Somehow he would have to get into the tail, inside the plane, rip or cut his way in, and however he did it, he would need an operating base of some kind, a raft, which he found was much easier said than done. There were plenty of logs around. The shore was littered with driftwood, new and old, tossed up and scattered by the tornado, and it was a simple matter to find 4 of them about the same length and pull them together. Keeping them together was the problem. Without rope or cross pieces and nails, the logs just rolled and separated. He tried wedging them together, crossing them over each other. Nothing seemed to work, and he needed a stable platform to get the job done. It was becoming frustrating, and he had a momentary loss of temper as he would have done in the past when he was the other person. At that point, he sat back on the beach and studied the problem again. Sense. He had to use his sense. That's all it took to solve problems. Just sense. It came then. The logs he had selected were smooth and round and had no limbs. What he needed were logs with limbs sticking out. Then he could cross the limbs of one log over the limbs of another and weave them together as he had done his wall, the food shelf cart, and the fish gate. He scanned the area above the beach and found 4 dry treetops that had been broken off by the storm. These had limbs, and he dragged them down to his work area at the water's edge and fitted them together. It took most of the day. The limbs were cluttered and stuck any which way, and he would have to cut one to make another fit, then cut one from another log to come back to the first one, and still another from a third log. But at last, in the late afternoon, he was done, and the raft, which he called Brush Pile 1 for its looks, hung together even as he pulled it into the water off the beach. It floated well, if low in the water, and in the excitement he started for the plane. He could not stand up, but would have to swim alongside. He was out to chest depth when he realized he had no way to keep the raft at the plane. He needed some way to tie it in place so he could work from it, and for a moment he was stymied. He had no rope, only the bowstring, and the other cut shoestring in his tennis shoes, which were by now looking close to dead, his toes showing at the tops. Then he remembered his windbreaker, and he found the tattered part he used for an arrow pouch. He tore it into narrow strips and tied them together to make a rope or tie down about 4 feet long. It wasn't strong. He couldn't use it to pull a Tarzan and swing from a tree, but it should hold the raft to the plane. Once more, he slid the raft off the beach and out into the water until he was chest deep. He had left his tennis shoes in the shelter, and when he felt the sand turn to mud between his toes, he kicked off the bottom and began to swim. Pushing the raft, he figured, was about like trying to push an aircraft carrier. All the branches that stuck down into the water dragged and pulled, and the logs themselves far any forward movement. He hadn't gone 20 feet when he realized it was going to be much harder than he thought to get the raft to the plane. It barely moved, and if he kept going this way, he would just about reach the plane at dark. He decided to turn back again, spend the night, and start early in the morning. And he pulled the raft once more onto the sand and wiped scraped it dry with his hand. Patience. He was better now, but impatience still grounded him a bit. So he sat at the edge of the fish pond with a new spear and took 3 more fish, cooked them up and ate them, which helped to pass the time until dark. He also dragged in more wood, endless wood, and then relaxed and watched the sun set over the trees and back of the ridge. West, he thought. I'm watching the sun set in the west. And that way was north, where his father was, and that way east, and that way south. And somewhere to the south and east his mother would be. The news would be on the television. He could visualize more easily his mother doing things than his father, because he had never been to where his father lived now. He knew everything about how his mother lived. She would have the small television on the kitchen counter on and be watching the news and talking about how awful it was in South Africa, or how cute the baby in the commercial was, talking and making sounds, cooking sounds. He jerked his mind back to the lake. There was great beauty here, almost unbelievable. The sun exploded the sky, just blew it up with the setting color, and that color came down into the water of the lake, lit the trees. Amazing beauty, and he wished he could share it with somebody and say, look there, and over there, and see that. But even alone, he fed the fire to cut the night chill. There it is again, he thought, that late summer chill in the air, and the smell of foam. He went to sleep thinking a kind of reverse question. He did not know if he would ever get out of this, could not see how it might be. But if he did somehow get home and go back to living the way he had lived, would it be just the opposite? Would he be sitting watching television and suddenly think about the sunset up and back of the ridge and wonder how the color looked in the lake? Sleep. In the morning, the chill was more pronounced, and he could see tiny wisps of vapor from his breath. He threw wood on the fire and blew until it flamed, then banked the flames to last and went down to the lake. Perhaps because the air was so cool, the water felt warm as he waded in. He made sure the hatchet was still with his belt and the raft still held together, then set out pushing the raft and kick-swimming toward the tail of the plane. As before, it was very hard going. Once an eddy of breeze came up against him and he seemed to be standing still. And by the time he was close enough to the tail to see the rivets in the aluminum, he had pushed and kicked for over 2 hours, was nearly exhausted and wished he had taken some time to have a fish or two and have breakfast. He was also wrinkled as a prune and ready for a break. The tail looked much larger when he got next to it, with a major part of the vertical stabilizers showing and perhaps half of the elevators. Only a short piece of the top of the fuselage, the plane's body toward the tail, was out of the water. Just a curve of aluminum. And at first he could see no place to tie the raft. But he pulled himself along the elevators to the end, and there he found a gap that went in up by the hinges where he could feed his rope through. With the raft secure, he climbed on top of it and lay on his back for 15 minutes, resting and letting the sun warm him. The job, he thought, looked impossible. To have any chance of success, he would have to be strong when he started. Somehow he had to get inside the plane. All openings, even the small rear cargo hatch, were underwater, so he couldn't get at them without diving and coming up inside the plane, where he would be trapped.
Top of
He shuddered
160.
at that thought, and then remembered what was in the front of the plane, down in the bottom of the lake, still strapped in the sea, the body of the pilot. Sitting there in the water, Brian could see the big man with his hair waving in the current, his eyes open. Stop, he thought, stop now, stop that thinking. He was nearly at the point of swimming back to shore and forgetting the whole thing, the image of the survival pack. If he could get it out of the plane, or if he could just get into it and pull something out, a candy bar, even that, just a candy bar, it would be worth it. But how to get it inside of the plane? He rolled off the raft and pulled himself around the plane. No openings. 3 times he put his face in the water and opened his eyes and looked down. The water was murky, but he could see perhaps 6 feet, and there was no obvious way to get into the plane. He was blocked.
What's the problem that Brian's facing? Pick up your pencil. 2 minutes. Got any last notes? What's the problem that Brian is facing? Denila's writing immediately. Megan's writing immediately. That's your writing. If you've already written that he can't get into the plane, give yourself a check. Tell me why that's a problem. I see Denila has already written why that's a problem. What he can't get to and why he's upset about it. Put it in the paper. Problem is somebody stating. Yes. 19 seconds. I'll know that you're done with your pencils in the group. It needs to be there in 5. Pencils are in the group in 4, in 3, in 2, in 1. What's the problem at the end of the chapter? Pencils are down, or it's checks. What's the problem at the end of the chapter? Jemine. Tracking Jemine. Blocks. Tell me more. What do you mean by that? Yeah, he can't get into the plane. Tori, put down the pencils to check. He can't get into the plane, and he can't get the survival pack. Build on, Michaela. Tracking, Michaela. Right. That's also what's happening in this brain. Got it? All right. Ready? Flip.
Flap.
Flip.
Flap.
Will you read us our author's craft question? Kaden, read us our author's craft question.
This is where
Whoop. Whoop. The question.
I built the author in the chapter with Ryan.
Hand up for the person you're going to share with. Thank you, Denilah. Thank you, Jalea. Kaylin, who are you sharing with, my love? Those two? Can you share with those two, please? If you're my window and board partner, say, I'm listening.
I'm listening.
If you're my opposite partner, say, I'm talking.
I'm talking.
You are going to be talking and answering the question, why does the author end the chapter with Brian not being able to get into the plane? What was the purpose of that? Turn, tell them. We can wildly end the chapter. And they just said, and Brian got in, and it was great. Why? Clap once, twice. Alan, I love that you turned your entire body around and you were ready to go again. Amazing. Z-E-R. Oh. Decide, why does the author end the chapter with Brian not being able to get into the plane?
He wants the reader to keep reading until it's attention.
Show an agreement sign if you agree. They want the reader to keep reading. Authors end chapters with new challenges or what we call cliffhangers to keep the reader interested and wanting to continue reading. Got it? All right. Read us our objective. Oh my goodness. Sorry guys, it's hard to take away medicine. Will you read us our objective, Dasani? Beautiful. You'll notice that Ms. G put the character trait list back into your packet so that you had words to describe the character. But we're going to be looking at these character traits as we go through. Can you please touch where it says our directions? Let's just do the exemplars, the one behind the Monday one. It's in the same packet. Josiah, will you read us our directions, please? What are you with 150 through 160? Beautiful. What am I thinking about, Josiah, as you read? Beautiful. You're going to show your thinking by taking notes about Brian from the text and noting what you learn about Brian or his character traits. Got it? So on the left side, I should see things that Brian has done. On the right side, I should see some character traits. Got it?
Got it.
How will you show your thinking today? Denilah? What you learned. Sorry. Beautiful. So I'm taking notes from the text here, and right here I'm just writing a one-word character trait. Got it?
Got it.
Points to the person that you're working with. You are skimming and scanning for important details about Brian. Ready? You have 8 minutes on the clock. Go. You already know, then go back to the spot. Open it. I need 2 copies.
It's in my office. I will go grab it. That's probably
Hey,
Thank you, Rashad. Thank you, Michaela. 4 minutes. Got it? Can you share the one that I just talked to you about? So I'm trying to freestyle how you do it. Take a seat. That's a skill. Normally when I get so somebody keeps trying and trying and trying and trying. What's in the working on this is what he's doing. That is actually persistent. So I would say he's actually persistent when he stop. Yes. He's persistent, but very persistent in that. So what does that show us about him? Get it on paper. Get it on paper. Find it here. What else do you I was like,
No.
now, why? Well, does that make sense? Is he chipper? Is he just not doing it?
Yeah, like, it's a lot of work. Yeah, he's feeling pretty good. And to be fair, chipper is actually healing. So notice he's feeling chipper. Why is he feeling chipper? Because he has low energy, which means it's what? So Brian, is it hard?
So,
I would actually put your tail on the other side, and I would say hard worker on the when you learn about Brian's side.
This is God. And sure it's He's praying.
Thank you, Malaysia. Thank you, David, for your eyes. Thank you, Dasani, for getting back and ready to learn. Thank you for waiting until we're done with your meeting grade. I need pencils in groups. Flip. Flip. Will you touch question 1 and read it to us loud and proud? And you should go quickly. It's a chat. Fix it. Read us question 1, please. Nasir, read us question 1. Cody, my pencil's down. I'm tracking Nasir or the board. Thank you.
Why was it hard for Brian to deal with it? What does his efforts
Beautiful. You have 6 minutes to try this on your own. Reminder that you are writing an AEI. Pick up those pencils. Ready, set, 6 minutes, silent solo. Go. Going back in the text immediately. Just like, oh, I'm sorry, never mind. Jemine is underlining what he needs in his question to answer. Remember, I should see a page number jotted down at the top before I see you starting to answer it.
Demi's using the words from the question to start her assertion.
Beautiful. Our hands are up. Do we have a question? Iman is moving his pencil immediately to 0. And Nyla's going back in the text before she starts forming her assertion. Make sure that we're writing down the page number at the top once you count it. Think about As soon as I said this is the trailer.
As soon as I walked in.